Welcome back to the Women in AV podcast. I'm your host, Erica Carroll, and today we are diving into another inspiring story of a woman breaking barriers in the audiovisual world, celebrating their accomplishments, and working towards better visibility and representation in pro AV. Joining me today is our guest, Sarah Chauvin from Soundtube. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you today?
I am good. Tired, but good. Yes.
Oh, yes. We've both been traveling a lot this week, but you've been on planes and all the things. So Sarah and I got to meet just a few months ago, and I knew I wanted her on the show, and I wanted to share her story and hear her story firsthand and share it on the podcast. It's so rare to find other women in the industry with technical roles. And Sarah comes with an extensive background in music and audio, and more recently, sound science with Sarah, which is also very exciting. We can talk about that later. No. But let's start at the beginning. Sarah, what first drew you into audio and music and the AV world? How did you start?
I mean, if we want to go to the beginning, I would say it was watching my dad record, probably illegally, audio of a live Pearl Jam concert onto a reel-to-reel, which actually you may not be able to see it on a podcast, but I do have the actual reel-to-reel behind me. Watching him do that and just seeing the ability to take basically electricity and turn it into different mediums and how you can manipulate sound just fascinated me. From a young child. And then from there, on the music side, we started going to concerts when I was very young, about 9, and it was just, I got the bug from there.
That was awesome.
This is what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So you got the bug, and I think I read that you play the flute.
Yes. Yep. So flute was my primary in college. Definitely dabble in the more analog synth, developed a bad pedal habit for a little while. So weird sounds, anything I can do to make my flute sound weird is just awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah. So now fast forward, I know that you were at Biamp for a while. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about what that looked like? Because what we try to share sometimes is what that path looks like in AV is not always linear. And I know that yours maybe wasn't as linear either. Now you're a sales engineer at Soundtube. So what did that path look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started at Biamp, they were really creating this new department and they had no idea what it was going to be. So they called it inside sales and, basically knew that they needed some sort of additional sales help or reinforcement for maybe those like mid to smaller tier integrators that someone in the field just can't get to every day. So they literally handed us a list of accounts. It was me and one other person. And they said, yeah, we don't know what it's going to be. Here's a sales goal. Here's your accounts. Here's a computer. Have fun.
Good luck.
So, yeah, exactly. I will say I found out very quickly in that role that the best way to be successful was to be technical. And that I would have more integrators contacting me if I could answer their question over the phone. And even do DSP programming over Teams or Zoom, they would just continuously come back to me. So eventually over time, over a couple of years, that continued to be successful. And then I started to train people on how to do that, which we expanded the department pretty significantly. By the time I left, I want to say that department was about 11 people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. And I was the one that headed up and actually created the sales strategy with the idea of us being junior design engineers. One of my guys, Jimmy, actually put it perfectly once. We're the design engineers you don't have to hire. Our cost is using our stuff.
Yeah.
And so creating that philosophy and, then once I learned as much as I could about the technology, then I learned how to train people about the technology. And so it really was kind of the path was, we have no idea what this is going to be. Here's a role. It could be anything. We could have dialed for dollars, but really had an amazing opportunity to kind of create and develop something new and different there, which has now kind of led me to my more sales engineering role here at Soundtube.
So what do you do now with Soundtube?
So I head up our entire pre-sales and technical training division. So I do all of our pre-sales design assistance, all of our ease mapping, product recommendations, specifications, as well as, making sure that we're properly interoperable with other devices when we're talking about our network devices, but
Sure.
also develop all of our training material and more technical marketing material.
You've really gotten this huge opportunity where you stepped in and said, okay, good luck. And you built up a team and you
Yeah.
took all the resources you had. That's inspiring and incredible. Great job.
No, it was a lot of fun too, and I don't want to
Yeah.
don't want to move
Yeah.
over that. It was a ton of fun to do that.
I totally get that. When I started at Digital Projection, I actually applied for a different role that was more like a secretarial based. It was actually event planning when, back in the days of taking reps on rep trips and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And they gave me an amazing opportunity. They looked over my resume and they said, you'd probably be really good at that, but I'd like to offer you this other job as an applications engineer. And then I started doing geometry for a living. And it was the same thing where, the applications team, which in our world, an applications is like the application in which you are using the product.
Yep.
You and I know that.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the same sort of thing where it's a free service and literally, free math for all kinds of applications and doing like 4K video walls and, making massive screens with edge blending and the math that goes into that because of, light on top of light is additive. And anyways, yeah. I totally get that. I excelled because I was able to be technical and then I got to train. And that's really where I fell into my sweet spot, was teaching people the technical stuff. So I share that with you in being able to take something technical and simplifying it so that people can understand it.
Yes. Yeah. I actually just had this conversation with a friend of mine in a similar role, but in a different industry the other day, of how I feel like part of my job is just engineer interpreter.
Yeah.
and taking the technical stuff and putting it in a more understandable language, if you will.
Absolutely. Now, we all know that you could not have done it on your own. And I know that you have said that you're committed to coaching and mentoring. So can you share a story of someone you mentored or who mentored you and how it influenced you?
Absolutely. So I would actually talk about, or would love to talk about, my very first mentor.
Okay.
Kind of in the industry, going back to when I was working for a small mom and pop music store in Massachusetts. The owner of the store is a woman named Marlene. So her and I are still friends to today. I actually just had dinner with her a couple of weeks ago. Really, beyond just seeing another like strong female, and again, another very male dominated industry, just how intelligent she was and how willing she was to teach me about business, about products, about anything and everything was just hugely vital to my success, I think, in the industry.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And she's a little powerhouse. I want to say she's 71 and still running the store.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was just awesome. And it really was she kind of took me under her wing, and I, of course, would ask a million questions about everything. And she just had a ton of patience with me and just invested in me so much. So she's someone who I'd say would definitely change my life.
It's cool too that you get to reflect on that and put it on somebody else too. So what does mentorship look like to you now in your current stage?
I hate to say one of the biggest factors of it is actually friendship. So being able to have that personal connection with someone, but then also finding ways for them to grow on what makes sense to them. So everyone learns different. And I am a huge advocate of that, is everyone learns different. And as a teacher or a mentor, you have to find what is going to click with each individual person. Some people are more hands-on. Some people like to be yacked at. I'm one of those people. Just yak at me. I'll write it down. I'm good. Finding what works for that person. And then also asking them, where do they want to go? Why are they being mentored? Where do you want to take your life, your career, this project, whatever it is? And then I would say being dynamic enough in mentorship to help them get to where they want to be, not necessarily where I think the path should be.
I also read something about, I know that you do cycling, and
Yes.
I said, what are rail trails?
Rail trails, yes. So we have a ton of them up in New England. It's the old railways that they ripped up and paved over.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of railways around here from like the 1800s that obviously no one uses anymore. The old freight lines, transportation lines. And then, so they're just, these decent paths that go through the woods. They're amazing. I love them because you don't have to get on a road with like cars and people texting and driving. It's, just pedestrians and cyclists, and that's it.
That's awesome.
They're beautiful. Absolutely highly recommend them. If I could give a shout out for a particular one, there is one actually in Burlington, Vermont that goes over Lake Champlain. And it's like this like gravel trail. And you literally, it's just you have the trail and it's the lake on both sides surrounded by the Appalachians. It is so awesome.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Highly recommend.
So we have music and we have cycling. Is there anything else that you are passionate about?
Books. I do read a lot of books. Obviously some technical books. I do have a few behind me. But a lot of fiction, surprisingly. I know a lot of people like the nonfiction side. Big into fiction, particularly I have a personal goal of making it all the way through Kurt Vonnegut's fiction collection. I'm about a little bit more than halfway. So,
right.
Yeah.
But by when?
I die.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully I have a long time for that goal. Yeah.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. So before I die, I would like to get through that.
You also have your CTS, one of the few women who have their CTS. So how do you approach ongoing learning in AV as it's fast changing, and even more recently, the landscape with AV over IP and just networked AV in general? I'm sure there's a lot more learning to do, but how do you approach that learning?
Yeah. And there is a ton of different learning out there.
For sure.
Obviously, I will say manufacturer certifications, as many of those as I can grab as possible. I do like to snag. I've built quite a little collection at this point, but also webinars. And I got to give a shout out to Avixa. They do some amazing webinars hosted right on their site. And because they are refreshed and done fairly regularly, I do find that to be a great way to learn about trends, upcoming changes to technology, and just different aspects. I also have to say, honestly, Infocom is amazing for that as well. So being able to walk around, seeing what everyone else is presenting, what the latest and greatest is. So then that way you can, hear about different technologies and go, oh, wow, okay, I need to go educate myself on that.
Yeah.
So those are the main ways I would say I try to keep up with it as much as possible.
Yeah, very cool. And in that spirit of learning, what are you reading or listening to, or what have you learned recently that is worth sharing?
Don't drive with Peter Melvin.
You learned that only recently?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Way too recently, yes. Yeah, he got the car keys for 5 minutes and was like, nope, never again. You're done.
Nope.
back to passenger princess with you.
That's funny.
So something I would say I've learned recently, maybe I even call it over the past 6 months to a year, would be that teaching and mentoring is actually significantly more about listening than it is about talking. And I think, really understanding that and changing what I do in my day to day with that aspect has been beneficial both for myself and the people I interact with.
That's incredibly important. I completely agree. And I actually feel the same way about sales. And I know a lot of people say that, but then do the opposite. But literally, just all you have to do is say, what are you looking for? Or what are you trying to accomplish? And in either of those situations, there's an opportunity for education, and there's an opportunity just to listen and be able to help in the best way possible.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And I will say it's one of those things I've started doing with a lot of my presentations is I don't just open up and talk about product. It's the very first thing I do is ask questions, because I want to talk about products or, talk about concepts that are pertinent to the person listening.
Right.
So like, for example, had a meeting this week and, asked the customer, what is your differential between design, build, and bid spec? Because really, if you're 90% bid as an integrator, what do I really have to help you with other than, maybe some design services? Sure. But if you're not influencing the product selection, that's a different conversation. And just coming here and just talking about our products, well, that's a waste of your time. That's a waste of my time. There's other things we could be talking about.
Thank you. And so one final question. Now, we do have a tradition on our show where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who that might be.
Yep.
And I'll get a question from you later for the next guest. But the question for you is, what is a question you wish people asked you more often, and what is your answer to it?
As silly as this is going to sit or be, I would say my age. And obviously my answer.
You don't have to answer it.
Yeah. I don't care. 39. We're good. Actually, I turned 39 on Monday. So
happy birthday.
Thank you. Totally fine with that. I say that because there is a misconception that, I might be younger than I actually am. And sometimes that can be difficult in certain conversations, or just, maybe not my age, how many years have you been in your career? Something of that nature. So then that way we're starting on the accurate field of understanding rather than making assumptions.
I will say, though, early on in my career, I did get a lot of flack for being young, for not being in the industry very long. And honestly, I just get sort of thrown into it like most people. But I was quick to learn. And I agree. I think a lot of people take that information for granted. And now, obviously I have gray hair, so people think I'm a lot older than I am, but
it looks so lovely though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, but I agree, because I think that it helps to justify, your stance in the industry, how qualified you are, and how knowledgeable you would be in a particular conversation. Yeah. And I think that still happens all too often of, people, if I'm standing next to my husband, who's also in the industry, people naturally talk to him about it because they think I wouldn't know. But I'm actually quite a technical person. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's just one of those things that it helps the conversation move forward and properly. So, and it's still something I run into today that, you're fresh in your career. And it's like, I've been doing this for 20 years.
Right.
Not quite as fresh as maybe, my little chubby baby cheeks make me look, but yeah, it's okay.
That's funny. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, so much for sharing your story with us on this episode. It has been such a pleasure having you on and sharing your insights and experience. And Sarah, where can people find you?
LinkedIn. It's probably the best place to find me. I don't know what number Sarah Chauvin I am off the top of my head. But
it's Sarah Chauvin at Soundtube. They'll find you.
There you go. I mean, the picture is me with a line array cabinet. It's not not too hard to miss. So easy enough. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. It was so awesome to talk to you, Erica.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And you can find me in all the social places with the handle at the Erica Carroll. Thank you again. And to all our listeners, as always, if you're listening to this as audio only, please be sure to check out the YouTube version, and vice versa. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also find us anywhere you get your podcasts. And remember to check out some of our other AVNation shows, like our friends over at State of Control.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.